All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Rags to Riches. I have a few special guests. They will introduce themselves, but today we will be talking about depression. So, you guys can go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hey everyone, I'm Nikki Fort. I am a content creator. I make videos kind of like in the spiritual niche and family niche. I make videos about that online, and I just want to bring awareness to mental health and depression today.
Absolutely.
My name's
Matt,
oh,
Ladies first. Ladies first.
I
go
was
ahead.
my name's Esma, and I'm a skincare developer. And uh, with owning a small business in this world comes a lot of feelings. So um, I had to go through my own journey, and I'm still going through it. And I love being able to share that with others.
Absolutely.
My name's Matt. I'm from the UK. I host a podcast called Every Year Podcast where we talk about things people have gone through in their lives and what they'll consider an L. And they look back and navigate it and say, at the end of the day, would you call that still an L? And they say yes, no, whatever. And we expose things that people probably have subsided just to sort of make life comfortable for them going forward, but they're still harboring a little something. And it's ultimately about making people feel less alone. And when the opportunity came on to talk about depression, which I have myself experienced, I'm more than happy to raise awareness and to share my truth.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for that. Okay, my first question would be what was something that made you feel like it was depression? So, what gave you that first insight of like, okay, now I'm dealing with depression?
I didn't want to get out of bed for a few weeks,
Wow.
you know. And it's not that I didn't want to get out of bed. I felt like I couldn't.
Wow.
I think for
I
me
know for
personally,
me, I felt
no, go for it, go for it.
okay. I felt like I was stuck. I felt like it was like a never-ending cycle of just replaying thoughts in my head. Like I would be sitting on the couch and I would just be replaying like the sad thoughts. And I remember just sitting there like feeling like I didn't want to get up and, take care of my responsibilities.
Right.
I would resonate with a lot of those as well. It's for me, it was it's something that's quite big that happened, but I would liken it to being extremely cold and just shivering, and you end up just tensing yourself to the point where you're just numb. You don't even notice you're tensing anymore. And I couldn't feel anything. There was no emotion. Everything pretty much just looked like it lacked color. It wasn't vibrant in any way, shape, or form. It was just pastel colors. And I had no drive or desire to get up and do anything because everything was meaningless. Why do this if I'm going to just get back in bed anyway? Why brush my teeth if I'm just going to just eat food? And then what was the point? And it was just like waves just crashing against a cliff edge. It was just eroding my emotions and my rationale. And it was not good.
Okay. Did any of you guys ever feel like harming yourself, Nikki?
Yeah, actually, I did. I can remember back to like in the sixth grade. It was an incident that happened where I was, I was dealing with a lot of things in the sixth grade, and it led to me being feeling like I was depressed. And I actually had an incident where I was like in the bathroom hiding from people, trying to cut myself like with the
Oh,
knives, like the plastic knives from the school. So I didn't actually harm myself. In sixth grade, I thought that the plastic knives would do something. They didn't break the skin or anything, but I was trying to do that. Luckily, they didn't harm me at all.
oh goodness. Asma?
I didn't try to harm myself, but I was pretty irrational. So like it I would go through rage moments where I wanted to just drive as fast as possible into a building. You know what I mean? But I didn't.
Oh,
But I would never do it. But there was thoughts of it. Like I just wanted to jump off a cliff. But I never like moved forward with any kind of self harm or harmful thoughts. It was just more or less like being ready to just be out of this world. Like I just wanted to be done and just give up.
wow. Matt.
Thankfully, the last real time I had it was like back in 2013. No, partly reason of that is because way back in the late 90s, one of my cousins hung himself at the age of 21, and that
Oh,
really had a massive impact on me. And sorry for anyone I didn't say trigger warning. It was just he left two young children behind, and every year I made a point of sort of celebrating my life on my birthday at least, like not work or anything, just to be grateful that that was not an option for me. Like things were not that bad, that I felt that was a viable option for me. And even though I felt like I wasn't contributing, I wasn't worthwhile, I was just being made to feel, for lack of a better word, meh, I never felt like taking my own life was worth it. It just was never worth it, or harming myself. I couldn't feel anything, but I didn't think cutting myself was going to help in any way, shape, or form, because then I'm going to have to go do something and I don't have the drive or passion to do it. So cutting myself, oh, it's archery. What do I do now? I don't want to panic. I don't want people to panic over me. So I just wanted to exist in the shadows, reside there for long as possible until I was ready to do something about it. And yeah,
wow. And I know all three of you say that all you want to do is just sleep. So, do you feel tired no matter how much you sleep? Did you guys just still feel tired?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Heavy.
I think it was mental fatigue and emotional fatigue, because I think, like I said, you're just tensing yourself so much and you don't know you're doing it anymore. And you're just, I'm tired of being tired, but I'm not doing anything to get myself re energized.
Absolutely. Does it make you feel like you're worthless?
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
A lot of times putting myself, like my worth in other people is what led to it, because there's always that hope for acceptance and love and things like that, and then when it turns out not so, um you hang your self-worth in other people's hands, it's always going to destroy you, and I had to learn that the hard way.
What time of the day was the hardest for any of you guys?
The morning.
Mornings.
I would
I think
say, yeah, the
belong to one.
morning.
You as well, Matt?
No,
Mornings.
no, it was just one continuous day. It was Groundhog Day every day. I didn't care for anything. So could be the morning, could be the afternoon. I wouldn't know. I'm not watching the clock like that, because what's the point?
Right.
Yeah, I would wake up and it would be like a flood of all the emotions at once, and it would just send me into a spiral of negative emotions from there, and then it just kind of rippled on to the rest of the day, and it always started
Yeah.
when I woke up.
Yeah, it's like what she said, like it's like you wake up and it's like you sleeping and you're peaceful because you're sleeping and you don't really have to think about it. You don't have time with your thoughts. So when you wake up, it's like you realize, like, wow, I felt this way the day before, and now I feel this way again. Like you're realizing, like, just the weight of the world on your shoulders. And like for me, it's getting better. It was just worse. I would say I dealt with postpartum depression. Like my daughter
Mm-hmm.
is 6 now, but it was worse. Like after I gave birth to her, it was bad. It was really bad. But it's getting better now. It's really getting better.
Glad to hear that. Okay. Did any of you ever feel alone?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Often, quite often.
Have any of you ever tried to go to a friend or a family and kind of tell them what was going on or what you were thinking, if even if it was because I know the two ladies said they wanted to harm themselves. Have you ever went to any of your friends or family to let them know?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like with that incident in sixth grade, they was talking about that's the only time I really tried to harm myself. After that, I realized it wasn't worth it. But my mom, she knew about it. She knew about that whole incident. But after that, I didn't try to harm myself or anything like that.
Yeah. I just want to be clear. I didn't try to harm myself. It was just thoughts of wanting to jump off the cliff, um, but never really pursuing anything like that. It's just, man, it was just, it comes and goes in waves, you know? You'll be okay, and then it'll, for me, it's just something that's always been there in the background. So I've always had to work really hard on my mental strength to just not fall back into that depression.
Absolutely. Matt, have you ever told a friend or family?
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough that I've been with my wife since 2001. So she is my best friend. And as much as it was painful and I was putting her through hell during that time, I didn't feel enough of anything to really care. And I was fortunate enough that the job I was doing at the time, I've just got a way of building rapport with people quite quickly. And this person, I couldn't see them anymore as a client because they were now a friend, and they were the ones that are helping me. And it's all like, whatever the situation is, you need to fight for it, because what have you got to lose? And I said, nothing. So go ham and tongs into it and deal with it, because you got nothing to lose. And it was only through them reaffirming the things that I'm good at, what I'm capable of, who I am as an individual, that helped me. And unfortunately, I guess I had a chasm within me that wasn't being replenished in any way, shape, or form. But they kept pouring into me and pouring into me over a period of time. And eventually I could see a bit of the water that was in that well. And I just thought, oh, let me tap into that a little bit. And then eventually I just tried not to look back, even when things got a bit wobbly. And yeah, but talking is definitely a very strong way of dealing with it, because you're able to then articulate how you're feeling, what your emotions are, rightly or wrongly. And I'm a firm believer of feel what you feel. You can't you can't just deny how you're feeling, because that could become very toxic later on, and it manifests itself in different ways. But if you experience what you're feeling and identify what it is, then later on you can say, I felt something. Not sure what
Right.
it is, but let me just go and be get used to it, get familiar with it, and then I can understand how to navigate situations. What do I need to put in place to make sure I don't go off the tracks or do something I shouldn't be doing? Because it's all about self care and self love, and you can only give the
Right.
best version of yourself if you know yourself well enough.
Right. Agree.
I,
Did have you can go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just wanted to go back on like what he's saying as well. Like,
Right.
like it's good to have somebody to talk to when you're going through
Hmm.
it, because I make sure that I make sure that my family is aware of what's going on. Like I make sure that they know that I'm not feeling too good today. Like I'm not in the best mood today. And I feel like having somebody that you can talk to helps you rationalize your feelings, and it helps you to be aware. And also I learned that when I talk to people about how what I'm feeling, that they can relate to me, because sometimes they have the same feelings as well,
Right.
and they can give me advice on how to make get my mood better, or just lift me up out of that funk. So it's really good to have some family and friends around that you could talk to about the situation.
Right. Right. And have any of you ever tried to take your frustration out on anyone else?
More than likely.
I
Not
closed myself in a hole is what I did. So I more or less just kind of shut the world out.
Right.
I would say not in a physical way, but sometimes it's like depression can make you moody,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like sometimes I might be moody and not meaning to be moody to anyone or my husband or anyone like that, but it's like sometimes I would be closed off or have maybe like a slight attitude, but I'm aware to like think about my actions and to go back. Like if I know that I was just a little bit moody, I go back and I always apologize to
Oh, that's right.
anybody that's yeah, and I let them know how I was feeling.
Right. And I think most family and friends would definitely understand it, because they know we all go through stuff. So I know mine would be understanding if I was to snap or anything like that and go back and be like, I'm sorry, that happened. And, a lot of them pretty understanding, I believe. So that's definitely a good way, is definitely apologizing, especially when you didn't mean no harm by it, but you were just, in that moment. So
Yeah,
that's
I was arguing with everybody. My mom,
yeah.
my dad, my brothers, my husband. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't. They tried to help me, and I was not accepting anybody's help. I was just like done. So, being open to reaching out to someone, whether it's a family or friends, is something that is extremely helpful. And I think it could have helped me earlier in the process if I would have realized that sooner.
I do agree with that, and I think the way I am, I have a lot of people that's open up to me very quickly, which is great. It helps people, but I think being able to talk to a stranger as well is kind of like giving it a trial run before you actually put it out your real presentation, your real. This is how I feel, folks, because you don't know how you feel. You don't know how to articulate it. So talking to a stranger who don't know you, don't know any of your past traits or your habits that you have, will just see it as binary. It's black and white. What you're
Right.
saying is this, so I hear that you're this,
Hmm.
but your actions might be different. They'll call you out on it because all they're seeing is what they can see, whereas other people might say, you said that last month, you said that last week, and
Right.
I didn't have the energy to argue with anybody. You can say what you want to say, I don't care. You're gonna say what you're gonna say anyway. I just didn't care. And I would liken talking to people a bit like you're in your house and you're just thinking about things and you're sort of writing on all your little ideas down on a little bit of napkin, but you don't have enough space, so you can't even read what you've written on this napkin. It's not until you talk to someone else, the right people, because some people decide to talk for the sake of talking and not really willing to contribute to the solution, but just want to go, oh really, tell me more, she's
Hmm.
crazy, oh my gosh, she did this, it's,
Yeah.
you don't need them people. But when you talk to the right type of people, it's like all of a sudden you've got a whole tablecloth now to work on, and you can read the stuff you're writing out, and you've got more space to sort of talk about what's going on and flesh it out. Because sometimes you have fears, and I know this happened with me. I had fears, but until I actually went down that rabbit hole, I didn't know what the problem was because I wasn't allowing myself to go down there. But it's like, well, what if this happens? Okay, what happens? Nothing. All right, cool. What's the problem? But I was never allowing myself to that because I was just keeping it in my head and no one was talking to me and encouraging me to ask the right type of questions to myself. And I think it's hard, it's horrible, a very dark, very lonely, very unfulfilling place. But I think if you can stay true to it and just find yourself and have the right group of people around you, you will come out a lot more resilient than you was going into it. I guess you don't know what you can go through until you're faced with nothing else but that situation.
Agree. I have a viewer. He says that he had an ex-wife that said she was depressed, but she would still go out to the club. So I told her, that she wasn't depressed and that she take away from people that are really going through it. So do you guys agree with that?
No.
Mm-mm. I
So
feel like she could be masking, like going out to the club. Sometimes that might be a way of someone, like
numbing their
I
emotion.
guess hiding their feelings because you're in music and you're gonna be drinking and doing all that. So when you dancing and you with everybody, you forget about. It's like you're trying to fill a void. You're trying to forget about
Right.
your problems and everything like that. So I feel like she probably still could have been depressed, but she could have been trying to fill that void by going to the club.
It could be high level, high functioning depression. And we all do it because we lie every single day of our life. Oh, how you doing? I'm fine. You're not fine. You just
Right.
don't trust that person with the level of information you really want to download onto them. So you say, I'm fine. We've all gone through grief, unfortunately, I'm sure we have in one way or shape or another.
Right.
But at the time of it, it's very raw. Until we then learn how to program ourselves, how to navigate a situation. Oh, how's that person? Oh, they're not here anymore. But it's all right. It's not all right, but you're saying it's all right just to keep the
Right.
conversation moving. So his wife potentially could have been, I don't feel great, but I'm going to still turn up. I'm going to still go out because that's her version of sleeping, just to get it
Mm.
from this hour to that hour. People are not really talking in a club. They're too busy dancing, shaking. She could be in the corner. No one's like, where you been? Oh, I was at the bar. No, you weren't. You was in the toilet. But she's just doing something potentially just to let the time tick along. Everyone thinks she's okay, which means she has to answer less questions because she doesn't have the energy for it. But if she plays like she's okay, everyone will treat
That
her like
is
she's
it.
okay because really and truly, not a lot of people care for other people like that. They're too busy involved in their own life. So if you look like you're okay, I'm going to assume you're okay. So it's better to play like you're okay than to show your true colors and people act like they care when they really don't because she's potentially
Hmm.
surrounded by the wrong people at that time.
Yes, that's deep.
Mm.
Absolutely. And my next question was going to be about have any of you guys ever went to like a therapist or anything for it?
Yep.
Did it help?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Highly recommend seeking help. Highly
Yes.
recommend.
I feel like a lot of people think that there's something wrong with going to a therapist, but I don't feel like it's nothing wrong with going to a therapist because I feel like you always gonna need somebody to talk to. And the thing about going to a therapist is you can go to someone and talk about your feelings without being judged. Like when you talk about how you feeling, they can give you guidance on what to do and what you need to do to better your life, and you won't feel like you're being judged because you don't really know this person like that. And they can come and and whatever your situation is, they can come with a new perspective or a new point of view, and I feel like it can help you.
It's not
Absolutely.
the fact that they're a stranger, that you don't know this person and they're able to come in from an outside perspective, but therapists went to school and studied, people's behaviors and feelings and how to process it. So if anything, going and talking to a therapist or a professional, they're going to be able to provide you with avenues and homework and a process, like a step by step process to help get you through to the next step. So, they're equipped with that information and that knowledge to be able to help you. That's what they're there for. So, um, they're the professional, you know. So it's not just about talking to somebody that won't judge you. It's they take them for what they really are. They are the professional that's there to help you process your feelings and get to that next step.
I'll definitely echo all that's been said. And I think it's important that you find the right therapist as well, someone that you connect with and you find easy to talk to. I definitely like the idea of having a therapist because they're not there to help you. They're not there to tell you the answer. They're there to help you ask the right questions and to understand, because too many times, and I'm sure we're guilty of it here, where we look in the mirror and we don't actually see ourselves. We don't look at ourselves as the individual that we are. We're too busy just looking at our reflections, and then we lose sight of who we are over a period of time. But they will help frame it and say, but what do you want? Well, it's not don't about what I want. I'm doing this because no. What do you want? Are you doing it for love, or are you doing it out of loneliness? What are you doing? And it helps you to sort of process what you're doing and frame it in a way that says, right, I've got the energy when it comes to this, but why am I not carrying that same energy for myself? Because if I'm not here, everything else don't matter. And I think it's so important that people just get through this stigma where they feel that there's something wrong with them to go therapist. Because if you drive, you go to a mechanic just before you go on a long drive because you want to make sure nothing falls off or anything like that. You don't
True.
feel great, you go to a doctor because you can't do it
True.
yourself. Let's be honest. Anything like that, you go to a professional because you could probably do a good job yourself, but you're probably not going to do it 100. So let me just pay a little extra, get someone who's studied enough time to say, this is what I specialize in. Cool. If you don't want to come and talk to me about podcasting or whatever, then come to me. I specialize in that. So the same way I want you to respect me, I'm going to respect you in your professional field and come to you as and when required. And it's better to do it before you find yourself in that position than when you're in it and it's harder to bring yourself out of it.
Absolutely. Speaking the truth TV. Hello everyone. All right. And the next question from a viewer wants to know, can you self-heal with depression?
Yes. So, what I did to help myself, it's all about your thought process, right? So it's like it builds momentum. It starts at the beginning of the day. Just like my worst time of the day was usually at the beginning because that's when all my feelings came. But if I started the day and let's say these feelings came and I started to just make a list of, not even if I didn't believe it, I would still say like I'm grateful for my house and the AC in my car and just random little things that I'm thankful for. And then whenever I started to feel negative throughout the day, I found a way to distract my thought process. So the faster you distract your thoughts and think of something else or do something. So like when I started to get negative, I would turn on the water in the sink and I would watch the water and try not to think. So, and it's actually really hard. And I had to practice. So, and it would last for about like 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds at a time. So the more I did it, the more I was able to find a way to quiet my mind. And then I started spending a lot of time outside just quiet. So no TV, no phones, no music, no podcasts, nothing. I found that the quieter I got outdoors, the better I was able to just breathe and get grounded. And, I would have my feet in the dirt. I would breathe in the air and just kind of try to be gentle with myself. Like just remind yourself at the end of the day, it's never done. You can never finish. There's always more to learn. There's always more. So even if you achieved all your goals, you're going to sit there and be like, okay, now what? There's always the next thing. So it's never done. And the when I started to learn not to beat myself up because I'm not where I want to be yet in my goals, the better I was able to get at that process of just distracting my thoughts. So that's something I always recommend for anybody I come across that's struggling, that talks to me, is that's how I did it. And that's how I recommend people to try to do it, because it was the only way for me to stop talking inside my head. So, hope that helps.
Absolutely. Do you guys have anything you would like to add?
Yeah, I also find peace in going outside and hearing the trees, like the wind, and just feeling the wind, hearing the birds chirp, just seeing nature. It helps me to just be thankful for the little things and just to be just to get that fresh air in and just to be grateful for everything. And I don't know, how anybody, is on a spiritual level, but I talk to God and I pray, and
Mm-hmm.
that helps me as well.
Absolutely.
I think, yeah, I think there is obviously a strong possibility that you can do it yourself, and I'm not here to tell anyone they can't. I just personally struggle to do it because I felt if I did it one way, there might be negative ramification of me doing it, or I'm not aware of it. And that's where I'd always like to have someone else, whether it be a professional or someone I trust, to just sort of help me to know, right, if I do X, what's happening to Y and all that other jazz. So yeah, you probably can do it, and it's fantastic because right now I've got some things that I do to help keep myself in a better headspace, and it sounds extremely stupid, but I don't care. I have approximately 5 things on my mind at any given time, and that's because potentially I'm never going to have all 5 things just come crashing down. So I'll have 5 things that's on my mind that I'm dealing with, and if one thing's not right, cool, I've got 4 other things to keep me distracted. And then later on in the day, I might get to that 2 things in one day that's not gone the way I wanted. And I come back and I'm thinking, I should be upset. What am I upset about? And I have to think about it, which means that it prolongs how long I'm happy for, or not in a bad way. But everyone that deals with it in their own way. But I don't think I could have come up with that on my own. If I did, I don't think I'll be able to regulate it and be as disciplined with it, because I wouldn't understand why it's good, because I haven't done the research into it, but these professionals have done the research into it. Plus what I've said, oh, I think this works for me. And we have that conversation. It's not them just telling me what to do. We have a conversation about what could work. But if people want to try it themselves, 100% try it. It's well worth it because it's your life. You deserve to at least put the effort in. But I think personally, it's all about community, and having that community around you that can support you in it will help you get a lot further than if you try to go it alone. But definitely, it starts with you.
Absolutely. So I know you guys said that you've been through therapy. So what point where you got it where you was like, okay, it's time for me to get that help?
Postpartum, um, that's when I first went, and that was like 11 years ago, 10 years ago, So, um, my daughter's 10. I had to think about like when I had my kid,
That's all right. I do the
I,
same
I, I,
thing.
I was like, so I had to be like 9 years, 11. Um, but I couldn't stop crying or being upset or just having these heavy feelings. And I was talking to my mom, and my mom told me that, I was breastfeeding at the time. So she said, these feelings that you're feeling could pass through to your baby. So you need to do something now. And to me, that was a wake up call. I had to fight for my baby and I had to fight for myself. And I chose to take myself up there and make an appointment.
Absolutely. Nikki?
So for me, it was kind of like the same thing, like when you're going through something in your household, everybody else in your household is gonna feel that and it's gonna affect them. So my daughter is 6 years old. I don't want her to. I want to be real with her about feelings, and I don't want her to
Right.
go through that. But I want to be real with her and my husband as well. It's gonna affect him. So it's just when I realized like, okay, the feelings that I'm feeling are affecting me spending quality time with them, and I don't want to deprive them of quality time. And I just felt like I need to go and talk to somebody. So that was the point where I was like, I need to go talk to somebody. I don't want to affect the way they're feeling, just because of something that I'm going through. I can find something, to make this better.
Matt?
I guess I went when it was I'd felt all that I need to feel when I weren't getting any further with it. I explored the feeling of just numbness. I heard the countless conversation from my wife saying, I need to do something, I need to do something. days would become weeks and weeks would become months, and nothing changed. And I was just so tired of being tired that something needed to change and go therapy. Uh, but I think I was in a situation where I tried maybe to get myself going, but there was no traction. I was trying, I kept slipping. I guess it's kind of like ice skating uphill. If you ever notice, I like analogies. It's like trying to ice skate uphill. It was difficult. And just going to the doctors and they prescribed me antidepressants. And I was like, I don't really want to get hooked 'cause I've got a very addictive personality. But I gave it a go anyway. But I kind of
Right.
wanted to just have something that would just help me to not necessarily return to a state of normal in quotation marks, but just be in a state where I feel I have a little bit more control over how I feel and how I think, because the mind is very powerful. And I just wanted to reclaim that control if possible.
Absolutely. What would you tell someone who is going through depression now?
I would tell
I would
them.
tell them.
Go ahead.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I would tell them to, if they feel like they're going through depression. I'm not a therapist, so I can't, like diagnose that. But if they feel like it's depression, then like try to educate themselves. Like search and Google. Google has a lot of things that can give you more info on what's going on, and just to be aware of their feelings. And I would say the first thing is really to let the person closest to them know what's going on. Like, because if you don't let someone know what's going on, you can sink deeper and deeper into a hole, and it could result in you wanting to just do bad things to yourself. So I would say first try to seek someone, like a therapist or somebody close to you, and let them know how you're feeling so they can help you, get through this, whatever you're going through.
Absolutely.
I would say breathe, because when you're in the middle of it, it's awful. It's heavy, it's awful. It feels, there's all kinds of words for it because we all feel different things when we're going through depression. Nobody's depression is the same. So when you're going through the motions, um, you'll get through it. You know, you'll get through it eventually. Today, tomorrow, next year, you'll get through it, because there's always hope, especially when you reach out for help. When you reach out to, like she said, reach out to the closest person, reach out to a stranger, stop somebody at the gas station, talk to them, or at the grocery store. But I would say my biggest thing was getting outside. So if you can take steps outside and go for a walk, that's going to help you process what you need to do, whether you need to talk to somebody or a professional or whatever you need to do. But getting outside and just putting one foot in front of the other is going to help you breathe through it.
Very true, because putting one foot in front of the other is what we all have to do to keep the momentum going and to not fall back into bad habits.
Yeah. Yep.
It is very difficult. I guess if someone felt that they had depression, I'd say, well done for being honest enough to say it, to say that you're
True.
feeling something. Well done for actually being able to acknowledge that you feel something, because it's very hard. And just, if you're saying you feel like you might have depression, it means that potentially you're willing to accept help if it's offered to you. Again, run with that. There's no, like it's already been said, there's no real one way of dealing with it. Everyone will deal with their own way. However, definitely seek help, support, talk to those that are around you that you can trust with the information, that won't gaslight you and will just help you to heal and navigate this space that you're in. It might take a week, it might take a year, it might take whatever length of time it needs to take, but you'll be all the better for it because you're speaking up now. And I guess reflect on what feels like it's making you feel more depressed, and what spaces make you feel elated and feel something positive, because that will probably tell you what spaces you need to remove yourself from, so that you can be free from this depressive state that you're feeling, or will drag you down further and further. Because if you end up being depressed for a prolonged period of time, you're robbing not just yourself of a quality of life that you deserve, but those around you that know you, they're not going to get the bright light that you normally bring. They're going to get a dimmed
Mm,
version of that, and that light might go out at some point. So yeah.
absolutely. I do want to thank each and every last one of you, beautiful personalities and beautiful people, just coming on here and just sharing your stories with the viewers. I know a lot of them that are watching, they're going to very well take in everything that you guys were saying. And I think they're definitely going to, I know I learned, a lot from you guys. And again, thank you so much for even sharing your story. That was just a plus for me alone. So I really enjoyed you guys. So until next time, everyone, see y'all next time. Y'all enjoy. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
So yeah.